Hello everyone and welcome to my Sonic the Hedgehog video game tier list. If you've been following my channel for any time really, you'll notice that I've played a bunch of Sonic games, and with a bunch I mean basically all of them. On this channel, most of them on this channel, one or two of them I did privately because recording them was a bit difficult. But I did most of them on this channel. I have a playlist with like 170 videos, and you know, a couple of them, but it's all of them that I played. I'm missing one or two Sonic games, but I have no way of getting the emulator to work. But these are all of them that I played. All the Sonic games, mainline, spin-offs, anything of the sort. And since I got to the end now with Racing Crossworlds, Sonic Blast or whatever it's called, the one mobile game that's been delayed like 10 times now. I've wanted to wait for that one, but I had to record this video eventually, so I do it now. But yeah, these are all of them, and I wanted to rank them. This is gonna be a long video, I know, but also don't mind the discrepancy between the logo sizes. I couldn't care enough to get them to all be the same size. Well, it's, to start, but with the first Sonic the Hedgehog, you have Super Mega Ultra God tier, S, A, B, C, D, and F. The first Sonic game, I think we can put that into a decent B tier for now. At the end, I'll probably go through all of them again once over, just to ranking things only really works when you have two things to compare to each other. So just put that in the middle. That's fine. It's not bad. It's not very good. It's the first Sonic game. I've liked it more than I expected. When I replayed it recently, it's it's better than I had in my memory, but the sequels obviously, spoiler alert, are better than it, so we need some room up. It only takes like 40 minutes to finish. It's decent enough. It's iconic. Introduces everything, so there's obviously like merit here and things to like about it. But I think there are certainly games in this vast collection of games that surpass this one. Honestly, there are probably very few that I would rank. Actually, no. Let's say B. Next up, we got the 8-bit Sonic the Hedgehog game for the Game Gear and Master System, which I also liked for what it's worth. Oh god. Do I have the footage of that somewhere? Maybe we should prepare that. The Sonic 1 on Game Gear. I think I also remember liking these, the Game Gear games. I remember liking them quite a bit actually. I did watch skip through my my essays, my reviews of them. Although I do think that this one was also pretty basic. The Sonic ones are probably the worst ones of their respective series. With the others just being upgrades to what was there previously. Like Sonic 2. Can probably be Sonic 2 for the 16-bit systems, of course. Do I have Sonic... Wait, what was the second one on Game Gear called? Sonic 2 on Game Gear. I don't have that here, do I? Okay, I got the Sonic 2 for the Game Gear now. For some, it has the same logo as the Game Gear as the 16-bit version, so I only saved it once. But here's the Game Gear version, which I think decently belongs to the Sonic 1 for the 8-bit for the Game Gear as well. I remember it being quite difficult, which is what I mainly disliked about it, if I remember correctly, because it was just a little bit bullshit, if I remember correctly. Yeah, the last final levels, the last couple of levels were a bit weird. Yeah. Not the greatest game probably. I doubt I'll replay it. Oh yeah, and the boss fights were very lengthy. Right. Okay, Sonic CD. A game that I personally don't really like. God, now I have to okay, Sonic's that's 16-bit. Honestly, I think I like Sonic CD less than Sonic 1. That's obviously the one that's a bit more open world, a bit more exploration based, which is the main thing I don't really like about doing in Sonic games, for the most part, most of the time. So you know, that's why I wanna put that there. Apart from that, it's pretty similar to Sonic 1 in gameplay feel and stuff. The boss fights are different. It has Metal Sonic and like the Stardust Speedway zone and boss fight and stuff, which is like very iconic and cool. But I don't know, it's I'd rather replay Sonic 1 than Sonic CD, and just basing this ranking of that alone, I think Sonic 1 will probably win in that, you know, because of that reason. I wouldn't really want to replay Sonic CD anytime soon. But, you know, Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Knuckles. I mean, do I even need to explain? It's like the best of all of these worlds, mostly the best of these worlds. It introduces Knuckles, has a saving system, has the story, has like storytelling in the levels, multiple campaigns. Knuckles has a different storyline actually. Cool zones, very few misses. The shield system, the instant shields, and the cool boss fights, and the music, and the finale, and the emeralds, and the blue spheres. The level design is a great game. Looks fantastic. Comparing that to Sonic 1, Sonic 3 is out of the world. So beautiful pixel art. And one of my favorite Sonic games. So it's I am personally still biased towards Sonic 3. So going straight to Sonic Mania, which is like a whole different area. But just to round out the 2D ones, the classic ones at least, of the 16-bit and stuff, yeah. Sonic Mania is probably better, but for what you get for your money, probably around the same in length, maybe even a tiny bit shorter. But you know, you get a lot more. You get the Encore mode and a bunch of other stuff. But just the core game, just the actual Sonic game, the playthrough. I personally still prefer Sonic 3. Probably out of nostalgia. Sonic Mania is great. The Shinobis, but what I don't like about Mania is that it's just a remix for 80% of it. I just really wish they would have done more original stuff. That's my biggest problem with it. Of course, a bunch of upsides, and of course the zones are mostly completely new designs and have a lot of new gimmicks. So like, but just it doesn't really feel that way if all the themes and the names and the music are the same. It just feels like a remix of that zone, even if there are new gimmicks in every zone. I don't know. Sonic Mania, it was great at the time. It's still great. I just kind of don't like it in retrospective. I think they could have done even more with Mania. You know, so obviously it's a great game. It's fantastic. Just for the quality of life improvements, like saving and stuff, I put it over Sonic 2. And considering that it's also a lot more content, a lot of other great new additions and stuff, I put it in S tier. But Sonic 3, the absolute goat of 16-bit Sonic games, play it. It's like, if you want to get into 2D Sonic games, you can't do anything wrong playing Sonic 3 Knuckles. It's fantastic. Beautiful game. Fantastic game. Great storytelling. Yeah. Let's go to Knuckles Chaotix first, because I think that's like the last 2D game of that general era. Apart from the gaming games, but Knuckles Chaotix can probably safely go into D tier. God, I remember how much I was in pain playing that game. Knuckles Chaotix was not very fun. The level design was trash. There's nothing that really stood out. It was just a bunch of, colors. It was a fucking trip of a game. The Chaotix are from this game, which is where the name comes from. So that's cool. I love the Chaotix, but not necessarily the classic Chaotix. Especially because you can just skip most of the level design with Vector and Charmy. Charmy can just fly. And if you happen to not have Charmy, Vector can dash jump in any direction. So you can effectively also just fly upwards or jump upwards, have a double jump basically, which was very powerful. And it's just, and Charmy can just fly. If you just play Charmy, you can just fly through the levels. And some levels or something, you had like missions that were very not well choreographed. The level design, the zones have nothing that made them stood out from one another. Especially because there were like 5 acts per zone, and there were like not very many enemies and gimmicks for those zones. It was weird. It was very weird. It was not good. Not a good game. I put it out of D tier just because I'm trying to think of what I would put into F tier. I mean, I have maybe some things, maybe. But Knuckles Chaotix is probably one of the worst Sonic games, in my humble opinion. There's a lot of misses. Sonic game, as the famous meme goes, Sonic games always very large. From a good game to bad game, everything is there. But I think I would tend towards a lot of Sonic games being more so mediocre than actually bad. And Knuckles Chaotix is the worst one of the 16-bit like 2D platformers. Not much that really saves it. The boss fights were also pretty bad. The final boss is okay, but you wouldn't want to get all the way to the final boss without save states and some kind of weird sense of needing to play through every Sonic game or something. Yeah, Sonic 3D Blast, can also go on D tier. I don't like 3D Blast. I don't even know if I want to linger on it too much. 3D Blast is a bit of a pain to play. It does that free isometric stuff, not good. Yeah. But Sonic Labyrinth, which is also like somewhere else, kind of is, and no, Blast is not the Game Gear version of 3D Blast, but Sonic Labyrinth is kind of the Game Gear version of 3D Blast. Pretty similar gameplay. Also isometric, pretty slow. Or people say it's slow, but you can just spin dash and it's pretty fast then. A lot shorter and a bit more manageable because the levels are much smaller. And then it just becomes kind of a puzzle platformer that I actually really enjoyed. I'd probably put it here. I liked Sonic Labyrinth. I watched reviews because when I played through those Game Gear games, I remember I watched reviews of mostly German YouTubers, I think, reviewing some of the old Sonic games. Or maybe some English ones as well, but whatever. And people saying like, probably product of the time that just hating on Sonic was in, especially like the obscure ones. Like, oh, Sonic was always such a weird franchise that experimented so much, as if Mario didn't randomly start golfing and stuff. But all right, or making cookies and stuff like the cement factory. Like, but okay. And people talked about Sonic Labyrinth in like old YouTube reviews. I saw a couple that all hated on that game specifically. And I was like, and when I played it, I was expecting the worst. But it was actually, even without the save states, which, like, you don't need to save state to get through levels, you just need to save state to, like, save your progress. I don't think the game saved your progress. I think I mostly used the save states just to make sure that I saved my progress, not in the levels to, like, get through, you know, you don't even need save states for that, just to save your progress, maybe. If you don't want to use passwords or something. I don't remember how the game did that. I think passwords, but the actual game is just a small, quaint little puzzle. And I don't even call it a platformer. It's mostly just a puzzle. I mean, kind of isometric platformer, but not really. And I don't even remember if you can jump in that game. I think you can, but it's just really fun. There was like one level out of like the 16 or something that was a little annoying, and that's it. And apart from that, it was pretty fun. Yeah. So that's good. Dr. Robotniks Bean Machine. Puyo Puyo. I remember a review about it just being like 3 minutes of me just saying, yeah, it's Puyo Puyo. Do you want me to say it's, you know, as a kind of campaign mode, so that's cool. But apart from that, it's just Puyo Puyo. So I can't really rank it anywhere. If you like Puyo Puyo, play it. It has the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog like characters in there, which is the only time they were mentioned or shown in the games. So that's pretty cool. But there's a campaign, it's Puyo Puyo, and that's it. It's kind of fun. It's Puyo Puyo. Why would I rank it in a platformer franchise that has nothing to do with Sonic or its gameplay? Like Knuckles Chaotix is a Sonic game with Knuckles. Something like Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog, or the racing games don't have Sonic gameplay, but they have the characters. So, you know, you get a sense that it's still in the franchise. Dr. Robotniks Bean Machine doesn't have Sonic gameplay and has Scratch, Grounder, and Coconuts. I think Robotnik has... I don't even remember if Robotnik has... I think he's the final boss. But like it's the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog Robotnik. So it's like the Pingus one. Who I like. But like it's you know, it's barely in this franchise. And it's a Puyo Puyo reskin, so it's... Yeah. Sure, B tier. Sonic Chaos. I know 8-bit Game Gear Sonic game, which I think was one of the better ones. I think I would put this here as well. I liked Chaos, if I remember correctly. It had some cool stuff, but a lot of the 8-bit Game Gear games are a bit interchangeable anyway. I think 2 was the worst one, because it was just unnecessarily difficult. I think Chaos was very easy, because I played through it in 30 minutes. I think that was the main thing I remember talking about, that Chaos was just very easy. The final boss was kind of funny, even if it took me a while. You know, Chicken Walker. Yeah, the easier one. Pretty fun, probably, Chaos. So I just kind of put it there. But Triple Trouble... I don't know if I would put Triple Trouble in A tier. Now there obviously is the 16-bit fan remake of Triple Trouble, but I would probably not rank it, because that would be a bit unfair. I mean, I do have Sonic Project 06 here instead of the actual 06, because I didn't play the original 06 for more than 10 minutes. But Triple Trouble, I played the original one, so I ranked the original one. And Triple Trouble is definitely the best of the Game Gear platformers. Because it had the most going on, had the coolest boss fights, I think. Has a snowboard, has Fang the Sniper. I think just the levels were the most fun ones. Has that cool transition in the second zone where it goes from the second act to the third act boss fight. Like straight up without a proper zone transition, which is or loading transition screen. That's just cool. I don't know, Trouble is probably the one that you should play. You wanna go into 8-bit Sonic games. Wherever you would want to do that. So yeah, I'll put it up in high B. We'll get to the very good stuff later on. Tails Adventure. A Metroidvania with Tails. I like that one too, but I played it with a guide and save states. Because playing it without either of those is absolute garbage that you would not want to do. Because the game has a lot of issues, hardware wise, maybe software wise, probably mostly hardware limitations, but yeah, with a guide, it's like Metroid for the NES. Or Metroid 2, I guess. Those games, not fun anymore by a long shot to play blind, or the first Zelda. Try playing the first Zelda without a guide. It's not fun. Why would you do that? It's not even how the game was intended to be played. This one was probably intended to be played blindly, but it's nowhere. It is also not fun. A lot of limitations that make you need to choose which upgrades you want to take with you. It's an open world game technically, but it does have level structures. So you have a world map where you can select an area that you want to go to, and then it's basically a 2D platformer level. And you can only take 4 of your upgrades with you. And that's just like, you know, if you know, okay, I need to get to the end of the level, which is like a 5-minute walk through enemies and everything. Get like to, you know, I need my upgrade to destroy rocks. So you go out of the levels, you take your upgrade that can destroy rocks or something, go back there, destroy it, walk 5 more meters, and now I need another upgrade that I also didn't take with me. You have to go back out, then change another one of your upgrades for another thing you need. And it's just the whole thing, and that's not very fun. Playing it with a guide, however, of course spoils most of the surprises, but makes the game much more fun in my opinion. I think then it's actually a decent Sonic game. Well, no, it's a bad Sonic game, but it's a decent video game. Some cool boss fights and stuff. The boss fights were probably, I don't know if I would call them highlights, but they were pretty fun. But for what it actually is, yeah, you probably shouldn't rank it higher than C. Actually, I'll put it in low B tier. It's fun if you allow yourself to play with a guide and save states, then it's actually pretty fun, in my opinion. But without save states and the guide, it's barely even playable without tearing your hair out. That's Sky Patrol. That can go and see. And an auto scroll shooter thing with Tails. That also has a fun gimmick. That's the ring as your main projectile, with which you can also attach to things or attach things to the ring and then throw them away and stuff. That's pretty fun. It's a cool idea that I didn't see anywhere else. But apart from that, it's not that great. Only has 4 zones. You get the way you die and how quickly you die and stuff is a bit stupid, and it's, yeah. I'm not surprised it didn't really get a sequel or anything else at any time. It was fun to play through once, but also only it's also not the greatest game ever. On Sonic Blast is probably the F tier, the first one. That's that 3D anime, the Donkey Kong Country one for the Game Gear that has the pre-rendered sprites. And first of all, the game looks ugly as hell. It plays as well as it looks. Yeah, that's what else can I say? It looks awful. It sounds awful. It plays awfully, and the level design is also shit. So the boss fights are kind of bad. Actually, there were like 1 or 2 boss fights that were kind of okay, but most of them also were pretty mediocre. What can I say? Not that good. It's yeah, probably the worst game from like the classic era. I would say so, definitely. We are mostly in the classic era here, except for Mania. With a few more to go, but yeah, that's the worst one. But yeah. Spinball! I only played the Game Gear Spinball, so I'm gonna rank it based on that. And Game Gear Spinball? Yeah. Yeah, I see it here. I still wouldn't say it's bad. But it's a pinball game, and I don't like pinball games or machines, especially in Sonic games. And the controls of this one were... There was so much wrong with this game, but I can't help but... I had a fun time with it. I genuinely had fun with it, but it's... Phew! Yeah. Sonic controls awfully on the ground. You can jump and stuff, so you know, it kinda helps. But it's also... It's a pinball game, it's mostly luck based, and the physics of it weren't even that great. But I think it can be fun. And now Sonic Drift 1 I will probably also put down here somewhere, it doesn't really matter. But Sonic Drift 2... let's put that here. Drift 2... Drift 1 and Drift 2 basically the same game, except that Drift 2 has more... you know, the base gameplay... Both games... Drift 2 just has more gimmicks, more characters, more varied stages with a few more gimmicks and bit better item usage and stuff. So Drift 2 is just like an upgrade of Drift 1 in like every sense of the way, the word. Of course, the main crux is that the drifting is weird, ironically, and that you can only see like 5 meters ahead of you. But if you get past those two things, Drift 1, it becomes playable, and that's about it. It can be fun, but Drift 2, I genuinely think for a retro racing game, Drift 2 is decently fun if you can get past the drifting and the fact that you can only see 5 meters ahead of yourself. Which I could. It's not impossible. Of course, why would you play that above like Crossworlds or something? But Drift 2, that had its moments. It has some cool track gimmicks and stuff for the Game Gear. I like it. I like Drift 2. It has also like those some tracks that are only from point A to point B, and stuff. Just really cool. I like Drift 2. I like Drift 2. It's okay. It has its moments. It has a place. Sonic Fighters. I'm noticing I'm putting a lot of stuff in B tier, but we haven't even gotten to like the good games yet, so it's fine. Sonic Fighters. Putting this here. 3D arcades, like Tekken or something. The 3D fighting game. Not really my genre, so I'm gonna get past this pretty quickly. I just like the vibe of it. Everything's very cartoony, exaggerated. Everyone gets splattered and like fucking smushed into pancakes, and there's like bong sound effects and stuff. It's great. It's very cartoony and it's very charming. It has a little sort of campaign thing, tournament mode, which is cool. You fight against Metal Sonic, which was ass, and then Robotnik, who was piss easy. Has some cool Has some cool stuff to it, but it's probably not. It's probably honestly not, like in comparison to like proper fighting games, like the actual ones that are taken seriously. It's probably not even that great. But I don't know. I liked it. Sonic R. If you've watched some racing game videos of mine, basically in every let's play of these racing games, I mention every time that I think that these racing games isn't what Sonic racing games should have been. Even more riders. Crossworlds is okay. It's a very good racing game, so it's fine. But I would always prefer either more riders, because that's just different than Mario Kart at least, or more Sonic R, because Sonic R actually is incredibly creative. It's not really a racing game. It's very much a racing game, but it's much more so a 3D platformer with exploring the tracks, getting the Chaos Emeralds. There's only 4 tracks, or the 5. Sorry, 5 tracks. So but you can explore them. It's almost a little open world diorama thing, and that's fucking awesome. I'll put that here, because actually I put it here. No, actually, fuck it, up highest of B tier. The soundtrack. Can You Feel the Sunshine in Supersonic Racing? Holy shit. Living in the City is also okay. The soundtrack, obviously, fucking gold. And I love the idea of also Sonic is on foot and stuff. I think they should bring that back somehow. Don't really know how, but it would be nice if they could find a way. And like this 3D platformer style. Imagine like Unleashed daytime stages, just the 3D sections, but that's like a multiplayer racing game. Everyone's boosting, running through like cool zones, something like that, but as a racing game of sorts. I would imagine that being like a Sonic R modernized. That would just be fucking sick. And I like Sonic R. Sonic R is great. I like the 3D stuff, and yeah, playing the actual races is okay. Actually, I also don't mind the controls. It was, I think, decently playable and fun for what it was. So I'll put it here. I like Sonic R. It's a good one. I can see myself replaying Sonic R every now and then. Sonic Hedgehog episode 4, episode 1. It's not as bad as people say, but it is pretty bad. Yeah, lower C tier. No, actually, and lowest C tier. It's not as bad as people say, but it's also just a remake of Sonic 1 with the homing attack and awful graphics. God, the game looks like shit, which I kinda am fond of how everything is shiny. There's some like Frutiger Arrow vibes to it. I think like there were like a lot of like mock-up and like bootleg posters and stuff on like all the virus infested like flash game sites from my childhood, back when the internet was wild and adventurous, that had like the Green Hill tiles from Sonic 4, I think, on like the banner and stuff, and like everything was shiny. Like I kinda am fond of that, but in the game it actually looks pretty fucking awful. Especially Sonic sticks out like hell. Don't really know what they did to his sprites, but he looks differently rendered. I don't know. And it's and the gameplay itself is better than people say. It's not awful, not by a long shot. It's not an awful Sonic game. If people say the physics are shit, when I played it like twice in my life, I never noticed any real physics problems. So I think that's just a skill issue or something, or glitches, sure. I mean, okay, maybe it's a bit glitchy that I didn't come across, so I don't know. For what it's worth, I think Sonic 4 is not awful, but it's not good. But episode 2 is better. Just a remake of Sonic 2. I'm gonna need to look at footage of that again real quick. Just to remind myself of what exactly the zones looked like and stuff. It looks better than episode 1. That's for sure. Where is it? There. Oh yeah, it also has episode metal. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's like... Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it was better than episode 1. That's for sure. And had its moments. It also has a boss fight against Metal Sonic with Stardust Speedway. Actually, the soundtrack, I mean, actually there's 2 of those. Here and there it has nice levels or gimmicks and stuff, but for the most part it's also not that great. It's also not awful, but it's just kind of meh. It's nothing I would be too excited about to play again. Actually, I would be very much not very excited to play it again. That's rare for me, for Sonic. So I'll put it here. Can represent the C tier of 2D Sonic games. I think even like, yeah, these are better than 4. Okay. Let's do Advance. Let's do the 2D platformers real quick. Pocket Adventure and the Advance games. Pocket Adventure is just a remix of Sonic 2 and Sonic 3. Or Sonic 2 zones with Sonic 3 music with 8-bit sprites. So it's all over the place. I think it was good. Here, sure. I think it was good. I think I liked it more than I should have. Especially because it's just in quotation marks a D-master of Sonic 2 in a way. I don't know. And then there's Scrap Brain and then like but a completely original final boss. And Ring Fortress and Aquatic Ruin, but they're all called differently and have Sonic 3 music. It's very weird. A Knuckles boss fight and a Silver Sonic boss fight. Then Scrap Brain Zone essentially, but with a completely original boss fight. All over the place. I don't know. It's around here somewhere, probably. Probably below CD. Just because CD has a nicer presentation. Sure. Who cares? The Advance games. Oh, I might make myself some enemies here, but Advance is not really a series of games that I like too much. I love the sprites because those were the sprites that everybody used on Newgrounds for the animations, for Flash animations. So those are great. And I love the GBA and GBA sprite work and stuff. Let's make this quick. Sonic Advance 3 is definitely the best one out of the 3. Yeah. Honestly, I think Advance 3 is the one I'd be the most agreeable on. I think Sonic 2 I dislike the most because that had a lot of drops, and Sonic Advance 1, sure. I remember, I think in my mind I like 3 the most and 1 than 2. 2 I think I kind of pretty disliked because it had a lot of instant death bits and such. Advance 1 is kind of classic, but like CD is probably better than that, and Sonic Advance 3. It has a hub world, the most content, the partner good mechanics. It has like the most stuff to it. So I put it at the top. They have the Tiny Chow Garden, I think all 3 of them. That's cool. The Tiny Chow Garden is great. It's a little Tamagotchi. Not much else. But yeah. I was never that big of a fan of the Advance series. I think 1 and 2 are not that great. Advance 3 is the best one, and even that one I I would prefer to replay those 3. Honestly, probably in Triple Trouble, that's why I put it here. I mean, Sonic the Hedgehog 1 is easier to get through on a whim. Sonic 1 I could play through in less than 40 minutes or so. Or maybe, let's say, less than an hour on a whim. Sonic Advance 3 is definitely a lot longer than that. 3 hours or something, maybe even more than that. Is it? Like 3 hours, I think. 2.5 to 45, something like that. So it's not that easy to just play on a whim, which doesn't have to be a negative point, but I don't know. I wouldn't want to replay it anytime soon, especially because it is a reasonably big investment for what it is for a 2D Sonic game. Most of them are less than like 2 hours long. I mean, all of the 16-bit ones are less than an hour. Sonic 1 is definitely... Sonic 2 is also less than an hour. Sonic 3 is like 2 hours with Knuckles. But like, you know, I think Advance 3 might be like on the longer side of like all of the 2D platformers. Next to maybe like Sonic 3 and Knuckles, because that's 2 games in one, so it doesn't really count as one game. But then again, it also does. It's the whole thing. Sonic Battle, also kind of part of the Advance series in a way. Sonic Advance 3 is kind of a story-wise a bit of a sequel to Sonic Battle of all things, which is a platformer fighter, but it's like stereoscopic 3D. It's like 2D sprites on a 3D plane on the Game Boy Advance. It's kind of crazy. It has a fucking story. It has a very long story mode. That was kind of cool and stuff. But the battles kind of were difficulty-wise all over the place. Also, it's just the battles. Sometimes you have a massive handicap for no reason. Sometimes like you fight against 3 guys, CPUs, that have more lives. Each of them have more lives than you do, which is just like, thank you game for this massive handicap. But and then they're also pretty fucking good. It's the CPU sometimes, in some battles they are, and some battles they're not. So I don't know. And half of the game is just a visual novel. But that said, it's also pretty fun. I like the battle system. Merle is on this game. And Advance 3 has Germ Earl, who's like a sequel robot thing by Robotnik, you know, to Emerl. You can make your own like moveset with him, and I think I was pretty happy with mine. And then the finale is pretty heartfelt, where Sonic has to fight Emerl and stuff, and that's pretty fun. I think I put it over the fighters. Yeah, I think that's good. I like it when the cast just interacts with each other. The murder of Sonic the Hedgehog is going to be very high up, I can tell you that, because just the character interactions. I like the Sonic characters. That's like a big thing. All of these games basically only have Sonic and Tails. Maybe like occasionally Knuckles here and there. And with that I mean basically only in Sonic 3, where he has actually kind of a relevant part to the like, vibe of the game. Okay, Knuckles Chaotix, sure. But in Sonic Battle they actually talk to each other, have some fun interactions and stuff, so that's, you know, that's definitely a big plus point. Sonic Pinball Party, it's a pinball game. And I liked it less than Spinball, so I put it here. It's not necessarily a bad video game. It's just like a pinball game for the GBA. It has 3 tables, one of which is for Nights into Dreams, and the other one is for Somebody Amigo. So it's only... The fact that it's called Sonic Pinball Party is a very big stretch. It has 1 Sonic table, and like the menus and stuff are Sonic themed, and that's it. The fact that it should, if anything, it should be called Sega Pinball Party, first of all. So, sure. That's it. That's like what all there is to Sonic Pinball Party. God, all of these games I have a lot to say about. Let's just go into the 3D era with Sonic Adventure. Oh boy. A tier, definitely. The B tier, I feel a bit bad for putting like everything into B tier, but like a lot of it at least. But a lot of these games are just kind of that mediocre general area. With a lot less standout moments, in my opinion. With a lot more of those should be coming soon, of high points and low points. So, Adventure. I loved Adventure, playing it through the first time. I haven't played through it again since. But I had a lot of fun with this game. I've said it before, Adventure was great. I loved Adventure. I loved the 6 characters. I loved all of the gameplay styles. I like the way they shake up the gameplay. More so than Adventure 2. The way the characters shake up that gameplay. Biggest negative about it is probably the fact that like 50% or more of the actual playtime are just you running around in the overworld because you don't know where the fuck you're supposed to go. Or need to collect like keys and shit to get into the next level. That is probably the biggest negative. I wish I could just have a menu. Of course, the way they tell the story, you kind of need the overworld because there's like the boss fights and stuff also in the overworld. But I wish there would be like I'm sure there is probably like a ROM hack where you can just open a menu and go straight to these to the levels. If then I would probably replay a lot more of them a lot more frequently. For what it's worth, Adventure, probably my personal S tier candidate for now. Bigger than more than Mania. I liked it. I really loved Adventure. And I loved it more than Adventure 2. I also put Adventure 2 on S because it had the adventure games. They're like some of the most acclaimed by fans Sonic games there are, especially Adventure 2. If I would put it any lower than this, I would be lynched, discarded from the Sonic fan base. But Adventure 2, also really good. City Escape, 10 out of 10. That's one of the best Sonic stages of all time. Even if it's just for the first minute and the last minute or so. Where you're on the board. The actual level in between, it's good, surely. But it's, the standout moments are the music and the first minute and the last minute. Sure. But just for that, it also deserves to be a very good zone. Rest of the game. Story is obviously iconic. I love the story. Gerald and got adapted into the movie and everything. And it's iconic and Eggman is great and everything. The Sonic gameplay is I think I remember saying that I preferred the Sonic gameplay in Adventure 1 to Adventure 2. At this point, I really don't remember what I now like more with 1 year of retrospective because I haven't replayed either of those games. So I just stick with my opinion from back then that I liked the Adventure 1 Sonic gameplay more than Adventure 2. The Knuckles stage is also same or very similar. But I think Adventure 1's I liked more. Because I think, was Adventure 1 the one where you can find all the 3 emeralds in any order? And Adventure 2 you need to do them in order? Which is a bit of a downgrade. I think it was that way. I think it was that Adventure 2 downgraded those. Maybe it was the other way around. If it was the other way around, then sure, the Knuckles stages are probably objectively better in Adventure 2. But I think I also remember liking the stage layouts and stuff in Adventure 1 more. And then of course you have the tailed stages from Adventure 2, which I also don't have a big issue with, but obviously are a bit of a pace breaker. They're very similar to Gamma stages from Adventure 1. Just like the Gamma's gameplay also more because he's a bit faster. You can, he's faster. And he's cooler. His story is great. Obviously, Adventure 1's biggest problem, next to the overworlds, in my opinion, for a big storyline, mostly because I didn't really know where to go with him half the time, which is also, again, the overworlds issue. But I think if you know where to go with Big, you can probably finish, and how to do the fishing minigame, because I also had a lot of issues with that, because I didn't know you have to do like something specific, like circle the control stick or mash the A button or wiggle the control stick or something like that. And when you do that, the fishing minigame also becomes really, really easy, which I also didn't know, which made it very difficult, which in turn made the whole big storyline an absolute disaster. I think now knowing, if I know where to go in the overworld, if I remember where to go in the overworld, and how to do the fishing minigame, you could probably finish big storyline in like 20 minutes or something. And on top of that, if I know where to go in the levels, because that was also a bit of a problem, you just have to find Froggy and then catch him. And if you know where to find Froggy and how to properly fish, the levels become 2 minutes or 3. But I didn't know all of that, so that was a bit of a problem. But apart from that, you know, Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, very fun in Adventure 1. Gamma is great, Amy too. People also shit on Amy's story, which I don't get. She mostly plays like Sonic or so, but the hammer is also pretty fun. And the fact that she's getting chased is a nice way to change things up. Tails is just Sonic again, but he can fly, and Knuckles also plays very similar, except he can climb and glide and stuff. Gamma, they all play very similarly, except for Big. But he's Big, he's also kind of cool, I suppose. Adventure 2 has a lot more differences in their gameplays, I feel like. Story, I like how also like in Adventure 1 how the storylines are 6 storylines that intersect and take place at the same time and stuff. And have like scenes that take place at the same time from different perspectives. You don't have too much of that in Adventure 2. And if you do, it's the same cutscene in both storylines. In Adventure 1, they actually have different cutscenes that are from different perspectives, showing the same moment. And in Tails' story, Robotniks sounds more intimidating than Sonic's, because that's Tails' perspective, and Tails is more intimidated by Robotnik in Adventure 1. And that's just neat little details. I really like Adventure 1. Adventure 2 is also really good, but I prefer Adventure 1. It's crazy. Heroes. Whew. Oh yeah, we're in this era now. The Heroes and like PS2 era. Ooh. Heroes. Honestly, D tier. I'll never want to replay Heroes. Playing through it once was more than enough. That already took me to my limits. You technically have to replay it 3 more times, just to be allowed to play the final boss. And those other 3 times are also more annoying than Sonic's line of levels, the Sonic storyline. And the gameplay is awful, and I hate it. I don't like Sonic Heroes. The final boss is the coolest part, and it's a cool part. It's a good final boss fight, but I will never allow myself to get to the Sonic Heroes final boss on a natural means without downloading a cipher from the internet. Because playing through that game 4 times, once with the Chaotix, whom I love, you know, this is the game where the Chaotix are properly introduced into the franchise. But you have to do like missions and shit, and I hate it. No. Shadow Hedgehog, better, sure. But also pretty mid. Final boss fight is okay. Everything else, it's just a way worse playing Sonic Adventure 2. You have the guns that are weird, the missions that are weird, the story that's with a gun that has Satan and stuff. Big lore, like integral bit of the lore with Gerald and the Black Arms and stuff. this allowed this game to be made, but original Shadow Hedgehog, Sonic Chronicles can probably safely go into F tier. I played through it. I didn't make a video series from that because that would have been 50 parts or something. Played through it privately while watching YouTube videos, and no, never. Never again. That was awful. Sonic Chronicles was so bad. Oh my god, that's probably the worst Sonic game. Maybe 06, I guess, but like, oh god, the Chronicles. The RPG. It's a Sonic RPG. It wanted to be like Mario and Luigi, but with Sonic. The story is awful. The art is awful. The graphics, the music is infamous for being awful. So much so that there's a bit of a legend that they accidentally deleted the soundtrack before like a week before release, and some poor guy had to like remake everything in like a shitty MIDI software. God, no. Never again. No. Chronicles was awful. Sonic Rush! I can go to... Oh, a Sonic Rush S tier. A Sonic Rush S tier material. Let's put it into A tier first. The amount of style that it had. First of all, a 2D Sonic game with 3D graphics. Mostly remembered for having a bunch of style. You can do tricks and stuff. And very stylish. But on the DS, which is kind of neat. The boost game in 2D is like... technically Unleashed brought this gameplay into the 3D series. So that's pretty cool. I guess. This is where the boost button came from. And Blaze the Cat is also from this game. And Blaze the Cat is cool. Sure. The trick system is cool. It's like a 2D Sonic game brought into the new age. It's not like a 2D section from Frontiers or Forces. I mean, that's just like 3D gameplay, but in 2D. It's like Sonic 3 and Knuckles or something, but modernized with a trick system and a bit more pizzazz and 3D cinematics. But a 2D game through and through. And it was really, really, really fun. The boss fights were not good. Not bad, but not good boss fights in any way. Just mostly waiting until you have an opening and stuff. And they take way too long and stuff. But the levels. Oh my god, the levels. Really fun. You boost through them, you do tricks. And flurries and stuff. It's great. It's fun. Very good. I like Rush. Sonic Rush Adventure is the same but worse. Same levels. It's just padded out with like an quasi open world. We need to grind items to be allowed to like make the next boat and so that you can get to the next island, so that you can to the next levels. You have to grind items and do like a weird mini game if you go from island to island. Just the levels, good, sure, probably on the same level or something, but it's just unnecessarily padded out with other shit, and it bogged down the experience so much for me that I put it down here. And I'll be probably more... I'll replay any game in C tier, probably more likely, I guess, than Rush Adventure. Never again. Rivals. Sonic Rivals. There. Yeah, I can also probably safely say that Rivals 2 was better than Rivals 1. It was basically Rivals 1, but with a few tweaks to the gameplay loop and some new gimmicks and the stuff. Fundamentally, I like the Rivals games. They're kind of like racing games, but Like kind of what I want with Sonic R, but in 2D, with being like Sonic platformer games, but as a race. With being the main like gameplay thing, there's I don't remember if it was Rivets 1 or Rivets 2 that had like one level at the very end that wasn't a race. I was timed. It's Rivets 1. And the final stage is not a race, but it's still timed, so it's effectively a race. So yeah, but you know, fun. I liked Rivals. But how much do I like Rivals? I think I wouldn't put it above like the iconic CD and first one and stuff. There were some boss fights that were pretty cool. I don't remember if the boss fights from Rivets 1 or Rivets 2 were cooler. I think the Rivets 2 boss fights were cooler, but I don't remember exactly. And Rivets 2 had like I think a slightly tweaked gameplay, so that yeah, like you have to do one race and then a mini boss and then another race and then a true boss. And Rivets 1 only had 2 stages and then the boss. And I think I remember that I don't really like the mini bosses very much. They were a bit unnecessary. But all in all, Rivets 2 I think I was better. I think. Honestly, they could be quite next to each other. Because I genuinely don't remember which one I liked more in total. Honestly, a bit interchangeable. Probably. I'm skipping through some stuff right now. Story of either game is not exactly super intensely necessary to talk about. Silver's here. Technically, Rivets 2 has to be canon because that's where Silver was reintroduced after the timeline shenanigans in Sonic 06. Yeah. I think they could be next to each other. There were some things I liked about Sonic Rivets 2 less than about Rivets 1. And there were some things I preferred, I think. So let's put them next to each other with Rivets higher. I think I like those. Fundamentally, both of them. There were just some things that weren't exactly the best. And the racing games, in a way, so not exactly true Sonic games, but very close to it. They're not mainline by any means, but they're very close to just being standard Sonic games with like a fundamental gameplay gimmick, being that you are constantly racing another character. So it's technically a racing game, but it's also, it's a bit weird. And not really weird, it's like very straightforward, but the gimmick is, it's just, imagine you play Sonic 3, but there's like a ghost. Like it's like if you do a time trial in Mario Kart, but it's like a ghost of your previous try. Imagine that, but like in a classic game, and boom, you have Rivets. Except that it's not a ghost, but an actual other character, and it's not your own recorded. Yeah. So yeah, whatever. Project 06. It's not completed yet. Honestly, I don't even know if I want to rank it. It's a fan game. It's effectively a fan game. The original 06 will obviously be an F tier, or maybe a D tier. Yeah, let's not rank 06. Putting fan games in this is always a bit, nah. It's very good. Project 06 is great, but A, it's not finished, and B, it's a fan game. It's the official Sonic the Hedgehog, not good. Not good. Sonic Secret Rings. Wii motion controls. I'm not even the biggest hater of Wii motion controls, but this game. Whew. Played primarily through motion controls, or only through motion controls, and has like a weird mission structure and everything. Played not that great, but Sonic and the Black Knight. Oh baby, that is a low 80. That game is so cool. It's Sonic the Hedgehog with a sword. What more could you want? It's fucking awesome. I love Sonic Black Knight. I don't know how high I would go with it. But oh, it was so cool. Sonic with a sword. Probably one of the best characterizations of Sonic as a character in any game. In my opinion. They focus a lot on his personal character and what he defines as being a good person and blah 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 blah. The levels were cool. Also a few missions. Like you have like, I don't know, 10 levels maybe or so throughout the game. Maybe 12 maybe? Probably less, 10 or so. And then like you have to do each once. And then maybe there's like 2 missions you have to do in each level. It's like an extra level. Let's say you have 3 levels per level, or 3 levels per zone. The first of them being just get to the end, and then 2 and 3 being like do X of this to Y of this. But those missions were always a lot more straightforward and easily and quickly doable. All of those missions were like a minute long, if I remember correctly. Those were not like big hindrances of any kind. And fun. That's like it was fun. Yeah, motion controls, but this was like just swing the sword. In Sonic and the Secret Rings, you have to tilt the Wii mode to control Sonic, which is just and flick it upwards to jump or some shit like that. In Black Knight, you control him normally, like in a normal video game, and just swing the Wii mode to like swing the sword. And the boss fights were cool. And the final boss is awesome. It's a Super Sonic boss fight, but he has a Super Sonic sword. Holy shit. Really like that game. Very, very high up there. And the cutscenes are a lot nicer. In Secret Rings, the cutscenes were just still images. In Black Knight, they were technically still images, for the most part. But had like more slides to show off, like, it was a bit more animated. And had a much nicer style. Had like a very calligraphy, a bit more of an artistic art style, I guess. I don't know. Black Knight was really good. Play Black Knight if you can on a Wii. It's pretty good. Sonic Unleashed. Ooh, that's a big one. The daytime stages, S tier. The nighttime stages, low B tier. Yeah, the Hedgehog is still more fun than Shadow Hedgehog, which means it meets somewhere in the middle. Do I put that above Black Knight? I really like Black Knight. But the Hedgehog is like 70% of the gameplay, and so 30% of the gameplay is like the best Sonic, period. Without a doubt. 8 or so stages that are cinema, roller coasters, pure unfiltered dopamine, if everything goes well. The Hedgehog is a lot more in volume, in length of how much you play as him, because the stages are usually like 15 minutes. The daytime stage is like 3 or so. And there's just as many Hedgehog stages, so you do the math. The Hedgehogs you play 3, 6, 9, 12, 15 times, so 5 times more. So 5 times the amount of content is like B tier, which means that you're probably going B tier. High B tier. Come on. Cinema for so much of it. Daytime stages, oh my god. When I played Generations for the first time, 10 years ago, it's not even been out for 20 years by a long shot. First playing Generations, I was like, oh my god, the 3D stages are so cool. Generations 3D stages are nowhere near as cool as the ones from Unleashed. That Generations is also like it's probably an S tier game. I would put it up there. But oh my god, to the actual 3D stages from Unleashed, they have so much more sauce than any other 3D boost game. You know, like I can't even describe it. Much more vast worlds, so much more detail, much more different worlds. The sense of speed is, you know, you go through multiple biomes in a single level. And Sonic Generations, when I think of the chemical plant, you could just go a few minutes for chemical plants. It's fun, it's great, it's good. When Unleashed, you have any daytime stage, you go through like 5 different set pieces. It's crazy. And they look beautiful and are great. I did play the remaster, what was it called? The recompiled. You know, the original version of the original official release of Sonic Unleashed is a bit, I've been told, a bit laggy in certain levels, on the PS3 especially. So just play the recompiled version. It's not a fan remake, it's just the game working well on modern hardware and stuff. Generations, I already put it on a tier list, S tier, purely because both the classic stages and the modern stages are fun as hell. Plus the boss fights are for the most part fun as hell. And then you also have other missions. There's a lot of content. Not that much content, but Sonic games are rarely known to have a lot of content. The most of the content often comes from replaying the same stuff. Sonic Generations, you actually have like a selection of stuff to do. Also not like the biggest selection ever, but still. Yeah, sure, the 3D stages are less good than the ones from Unleashed. Or less cool at least. They're still fun and good. But if you compare them, I always thought like Sonic Generations, the pinnacle of Sonic, holy shit, but playing Unleashed is like, oh my god, that's... The boost formula could have been so much more if they actually made the daytime stages from Unleashed into that gameplay into a full Sonic game. Sonic Colors was supposed to be, you know, Sonic Colors, okay. Here. Sonic Colors was supposed to be the daytime stages from Unleashed as a full video game. And in turn made 80% of the game 2D again. And Sonic Generations basically did the same thing from Colors, it's not 80%, but it's like a lot. 70% or something of the game is just 2D. Generations tried to do the same thing as Colors, just evened out the 2D 3D balancing a bit more, and it's overall a bit better, and it's a anniversary game, so there's a lot of fan service and better boss fights than Colors, except for the final boss. The Colors final boss, fantastic. Generations final boss is trash. It's pretty weird how sometimes can go all over the place. But the none of the 3D, if they actually made Colors like the daytime stages from Unleashed, Colors could have been the best video game of all time. But even though they set out to do that, they really didn't. Colors is not like the daytime stages from Unleashed as if it was a full video game. Not by a long shot. Colors is also good, but people used to love Sonic Colors or swear on Sonic Colors, but the more I sit on it, the less I think of it. It's certainly a good video game, but it feels a lot more... It's like almost... It has very few 3D segments. Very little. Really not that much. And the rest of it feels a lot more like a Mario game or something. Sure, it's the Sonic gameplay, but it's good. Sonic Colors is great. It's a B tier, high B tier, surely. But like nowhere near the heights of Sonic Unleashed. And the only thing that unleashes even in B tier is because of the Werehog. And I still think that those two factors combined still make a better game than Colors. The Werehog in Unleashed isn't even that bad. It's a decent beat 'em up gameplay, I think, as a person who barely plays or hack and slash, I should say. Beat 'em up is 2D, I think. It's a decent hack and slash gameplay loop, as someone who doesn't play hack and slash games. And I still think that it rounds out the Unleashed package quite well. It really is a nice contrast from the fastest video game you've ever played to like a very heavy hitting video game. I think it makes for a nice round package, even though the Werehog barely fits into Sonic, which is like the main reason. Like, the game as a whole is great, but like, I still wouldn't want the Werehog in this video game if I could choose so. Even though it makes for a nicer whole package than if it really was only the daytime stages. Even if there would be actually, because like the daytime stages are pretty short, you do need something to even it out so that you actually have like something to grind your teeth in and stuff, you know, to sink time into. You do need some kind of balancing. I do understand that they need like, they can't just develop 40 of the Unleashed daytime stages. That would take up too much. That would take too long and be ridiculous if you have to model like 30 different stages or 20. I mean, they only have 3 minutes long. If you actually want a full-time video game, like a full video game, you need something, either a lot of cutscenes or a lot of slog or missions or like another gameplay loop that is a lot slower, or you end up with a 2-hour video game. And for a 3D full mainline video game, you just can't do that. Okay, sure, Sonic 2 is pretty short, but that was like a 90s 2D sprite pixel game. You can't make a game 3D mainline big budget video game that's only 2 hours long. Yeah, unless it's some kind of art piece, but for the Sonic franchise, you just can't do that. Of course, like, it wouldn't make sense financially. Nobody would buy it except for the hardcore fans, because it's not a lot of worth for your money. So that I understand that they need to even to make the game longer somehow. The Werehog was a choice, which I am fine with, but but it's also smart that they went away from that again. And Colors and Generations, it's mostly the fact that there's more of the stages and they put less time into the individual 3D stages. The 2D parts are probably reasonably easy to like add more of. So I get it. But that also bogs down Colors for me a little bit. That was a bit of a tangent, holy shit. Colors, less than Unleashed, because Unleashed daytime stages are just cinema. They just really wanted to make like one game where like, okay, this is peak Sonic, and then they needed some of our gameplay to like make the game actually like worth your money somehow. But they realized they couldn't really do that with Colors, so they had to think of something else, and it's just, okay, add more levels that are just 2D levels. And Generations is like the best of both worlds with pretty fun 3D game levels, even though none of them reach Colors as well. Maybe the Rooftop Run from Generations, maybe Rooftop Run, or Seaside Hill. You know, and we're already getting into like, maybe City Escape is also a pretty good Generations level. I mean, they're all good levels, but like none of them reach anywhere close to Unleashed. As a whole package, plus the fan service, plus, you know, the levels, the classic and modern levels are just pretty fun. The boss fights are cool. The Fakura is cool to be back. Perfect Chaos. None of them are really great. Ecto-Goon is probably the best one. And then you have the rival race boss fights, which are also decent. You know, all in all, straight. Every part of Sonic Generations is like A tier or B plus when it comes to like, you know, the music and the gameplay and the graphics and everything. And considering there's a Sonic game that actually has every single thing covered and makes it decently so, plus the fan service makes it an S tier. Every other Sonic game you have something to talk negatively about. There's very few Sonic games that have so few things to complain about. The biggest thing to complain about in Generations is that the final boss, nobody knows what the fuck you're supposed to do. Just kind of boost and eventually you win. That's how I've always done them. There's very... You just have to just survive and eventually you somehow beat them. And the story. Okay, the story is a bit lackluster. But okay, maybe they didn't want to go any specific direction too far for the anniversary game. Make it as basic. But then you go back to the fan service and you time travel. But okay, they could have gone a bit further with that as well. But alright. But everything about Generations is great. If we also put Shadow Generations into the equation, which for the purposes of this tier list, I will make it into its own game. Shadow Generations is just better than Sonic Generations, let's be real here. Shadow Generations is so damn good. Better than Adventure 2. Better than Mania. Better than Adventure. And probably in the Super Mega Holy Shit tier. Goddamn, Shadow Generations was so fucking good. They follow up on Shadow the Hedgehog, story-wise, somehow, for some reason, but makes sense. It's, you know, bring back Maria and Jared, spoiler alert. Develop, continue on the Sonic Generations gameplay, and more fan service of past levels and the future stuff as well. But just make the levels so damn good and fun. Plus the open world is 3D and you can do a lot of stuff there, and Shadow has Venom powers, and yeah. And he plays a lot cooler, a lot better than Sonic does in Sonic Generations, I think. Plays very well, Shadow Generations. It's just Sonic Generations, but everything amped up to 11, plus open world overworlds. Very, very cool. I think on average, cooler set piece, cooler level choices, probably. What were they? Arc, Kingdom Valley, Radical Highway, Chaos Island, I think. Was there something from Heroes? What stages are on Heroes? I don't remember. No, there was something from Heroes, right? Or was the Arc the Heroes representation? Maybe the Arc was Heroes representation. And then Radical Highway Adventure 2. 06 at Kingdom Valley. Then Chaos Island from... Oh, and of course, yeah, the town from Forces. Of course, Sunset Heights or whatever. Yes. And all good levels. Very good. Plus the boss fights, probably very much cooler ones than from Generations, from Sonic Generations. Holy shit. Shadow Generations, good game. Very weird and good in the last few years. Shadow Generations was great. The movie, Frontiers, Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic Racing Crossworlds. Sonic is just doing pretty well in the 2020s. I should say so. I should think so. Superstars was... yeah, we'll get to that later. Sonic Forces. Yeah. High C tier. It's definitely the worst of the boost games. Mostly because it's like a huge nothing burger. The advertising was like, oh my god, Eggman took over. This is the game you've been waiting for. Eggman actually won, and you actually have to fucking, Eggman has already won, and this game is just about trying to win it back. And Sonic dies, and all the villains are back, and classic Sonic is here, and holy shit! And then everything was just a huge night of villains, the illusions that were not explained, and infinite, and he's just gone after the third to last level or something. And none of this is good vector, that's why it's called War. And then of course the level design. yeah, boost to win. Just boost through all of it and boom, you win. And Classic Sonic plays like shit. And why is he even here? Yeah. Nah. Yeah, no. The final boss is the same final boss from like the last 3 3D Sonic games. Yeah. Lost World! Oh god, Lost World. Yeah. I don't like Lost World. Lost Seed. I did you. I hated Lost World. Honestly, I would think the one time I played through it, I think I played it in one sitting, and I think by the end I just was very fed up with it and wanted it to be over already. So if I would have played it with a few more breaks and stuff, probably would have been a bit nicer to play through. But the way it is, I have very negative emotions towards it. Also because it's not that great. It is just very much not that good. The Deadly Six are trash. Why the fuck is Zavok still around? And Zaz. Even though Zaz and the Deadly Six theme are probably the coolest things to come out of this game? Question mark? If I have to pick something, I guess it's Zaz is kind of funny sometimes. He has some funny interactions in Crossworlds. Sure. Yeah, game is just Mario Galaxy or something. Like it's very sterilized Mario, but Sonic. Yeah, no, thank you. Wasn't that great. Was not that fun. There's a run button, and that already tells you everything about this game. Why is there a run button in a Sonic game that should not be? No. Oh hey, look who's here. Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric. Oh yeah. First of all, I should say it was not as bad as I thought it would be. So it's not an F tier necessarily. Let's put it in. It wasn't as much of a pain to play through as some of the other ones were. I did also play it in one sitting. Maybe I did play the first 30 minutes or something and then took a break and then played the rest of the game in one sitting. And it was not as bad as I hoped it would be. It was just... No, but it was really bad. It's like a 3D action game for kids. Like Skylanders, but Sonic. That's in a way a generic 3D action adventure platformer game. Yeah, I mean, what else would it be? It's funny. Or something. It's funny to think about. It's not even that funny to play. At least nothing funny happened to me. Yeah, I did the Knuckles glitch, with which you can fly. Sure, but nothing else really happened. I think I assume because I guess, played like a reasonably patched version. I did play it on the Wii U. I don't know if the Wii U even still offers updates for video games. Since the internet is down for the Wii U and stuff, so I'm not even sure if my Sonic Boom was patched. I don't even know if they ever patched it. I assume they did. I don't even know if I played the 1.0 version. So nothing crazy happened to me, sadly. It was just vehemently unoptimized and boring and fast slog. And I mean, it's Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric. What do you want me to say? Shattered Crystal can also go here. Who cares? Fire and Ice is the best one out of the 3. And I think that's a pretty common opinion for the 5 people that actually played Fire and Ice. But it's also a very generic game. Functional and not awful. Yeah, here I guess. some of the boss fights are just in the middle of the world. And there's 6 worlds, I think, but only 4 boss fights. And some of the boss fights are just in the middle of the worlds. The final boss is just some random creature. There's not even really an antagonist. There's a little robot guy that runs around and... Oh, is he the main antagonist? I don't even know. Eggman isn't really the main antagonist. There's just like global warming happening and we have to stop it. And it's because there's a volcanic crater somewhere and there's like this fire and ice dragon coming out of it and you defeat it and boom, that's the end. Yeah, okay. Story, who cares? Gameplay wise, it's very, very who cares. But at least it works. So yeah. Frontiers. Let's put it into A. A is still a bit empty. I'm not the biggest Frontier lover, but I liked it very much. I think it deserves to be an A tier, definitely. It was great to play through. Had its issues. The pop-in was crazy. Every word just looks like sauce, standard sauce or whatever. Not sauce. The other one, like a generic. Shit, what's that engine called? Here, generic Unity assets. There's a one pinball level you have to do for some reason that fucking sucks. And apart from that, it's pretty fun. It's very different. But you know, it's a bit more action focused and open world, and you can find stuff and fight all the enemies. Micro bosses and mini bosses, and the huge bosses are crazy. Most of them are not that great. The big boss fights. Only really the first one and last one were good boss fights. The second one, the dragon or thing creature, I hated that one. And the knight was pretty cool. Okay, the knight was also really cool, but I think my PC was lagging a lot in that fight or something, so I have some negative memories to that. But sure. And the open world, I'm recording this a bit in advance, so I don't know if maybe a trailer maybe popped up in the meantime. But I hear, it's been said that they're working on Frontiers 2. I think. I'm pretty sure that's a thing that's going around. I hope they make sure that at least the world, it looks a bit more like Sonic stuff. Like an actual Sonic world. Yeah, that's honestly my biggest complaint with it. It doesn't really feel like Sonic at all. Apart from that, it's an actual good video game. And the pop-in, they should put just everything floating around. In a normal cartoony world, which is a 2D platformer or a 3D platformer, it's not really that noticeable when there's floating platforms. I mean, Mario does that all the time and nobody cares. And a lot of Sonic games do that as well, even though that's less so, I think, in most Sonic games. At least it doesn't... It's not that in your face most of the time. And usually in Sonic games, they make it that it either is not very noticeable. In 2D Sonic games, you don't really notice if there's like multiple layers on top of each other because the camera isn't like so zoomed out. In 3D Sonic games, usually they make it so that it kind of fits the level. But in Frontiers, everything A tries to be as realistic as possible, and B, it's an open world game that's very zoomed out and stuff. So all of the platforms and grind rates and stuff are just realistic, A, and B, just floating around and popping in, and it just looks awful. That's kind of a big issue. Apart from that, it's fun. It's a fun game. Lots of stuff to explore and find and stuff. Yeah, Superstars. I didn't like Superstars that much. Probably here. I think it fits snugly in here. It's just another 2D Sonic game with 3D graphics. And it's okay. It's good. I personally didn't like it very much. I think they should have stuck with a Mania with the Mania look, with sprite art and stuff. I think the 3D art style looks not that great. Apart from that, I don't have much to say about it. It's just another 2D Sonic game. The final boss was cool? Question mark? Bit difficult? A little bit maybe? And I didn't play the 2 final boss, which is supposedly even worse. I just played the normal final boss, which I already found was difficult enough. Mostly because I kind of rushed myself, because I started with a time limit, because the previous level has a time limit and it goes into the boss fight. And I had such little time that I thought I needed to finish the final boss with the same time limit. But then afterwards I found out that when the clock reaches 0 during the boss, nothing happens. You can just continue to fight him, so you can actually take your time just for like an hour or so. I rushed myself to try to beat the boss in like an hour, a minute and 40 seconds or something. Or 2 minutes 40 seconds. And I did manage to do that, so that's pretty cool. I like optimized the boss fight. Yeah. I think I made it more difficult on myself than I really needed to be. The level itself, I barely remember most of the levels. There's the one cyber stage. That one was pretty cool. And the last level has like the first act is going from left to right. And at the end you encounter Robotnik and he presses a button. And then everything goes back in time. And then you have to, in the second act, you have to go from right back to the beginning of the level. And everything is like, that you like broke and that falls down when you jump on it and stuff goes the other way. And that was really cool. So yeah, Superstars. It's probably better than, I would probably replay it more so than CD. Apart from that, I wouldn't really think of it as better than anything else here, I guess. Ooh. Okay, now we get to the racing games, and then Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog did. Yeah, will not rank 06, and that's just the franchise name. I accidentally pasted into this as well. Riders. The hoverboard Sonic game franchise of racing games. Plus points for being different than a kart racer, first of all. I think the style of Riders is very unique, especially because it's a bit more edgy and stuff. In a very certain kind of way, very like futuristic kind of edgy, I guess. And the gameplay is very tough, but cool to play. I think Zero Gravity was easier and a bit simpler. Sonic Riders had like 5 different mechanics you have to manage at all times. You have like a tank. If that one runs out, you know, better not let it run out. That's like depending on what type you are, you can access certain shortcuts and stuff. And where's Riders? Riders Zero Gravity, there, Riders. Yeah, plus you have to do the tricks and the grind rails, depending on what type you are, and the CPUs want to see you dead and everything. Oh, the streams, the wind streams, I forgot their names. You have to do those as well, and yeah, very high speed and very difficult against the CPUs. CPUs are, they don't fuck around. Zero Gravity doesn't have the tank, but instead you can upgrade your card with certain things which you also have to manage. Apart from that, was a bit easier. Remember that much. I don't know. They're both cool. I prefer those over the racing games, the All-Star racing games, definitely. Mostly because it's something different, something a bit more that fits like the coolness of Sonic. So I don't remember which one I like more. I think Zero Gravity gave me less of a headache because it was easier. But in retrospective, I think I also liked how Riders 1 was a bit more complicated. And they have story modes, so that's pretty cool. Nothing too crazy, but there's a story here in both games. Let's put Riders 1 and A tier and Zero Gravity. Let's put them next to each other because I genuinely don't remember which one I liked more. The stories of both were pretty cool. Mostly the fact I first of all liked that there even was a story mode. I don't remember which one had cooler stages and stuff. Yeah. Zero Gravity was a bit easier, a bit more accessible because it was also a bit less complicated. So I think I put it one. Riders brought me to my limits at times, but it was also really cool. But I think that's some of the coolest Sonic racing games. Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing. I didn't play that one very much, so let's make this also quick. It's pretty cool and transformed. People used to say, oh, this is like the peak Sonic racing game. So I guess I'll put it a bit higher here, I guess. But Crossworlds has everything that this game has, in gimmick-wise, and more, a lot more. You know, it has the boat and air things, that's the transform part, and it's of course Sega All-Stars, so there's a bit more, you know, with other Sega characters. Apart from that, it was a racing game I also never really got into. And Sonic All-Stars Racing is just that without just on card. Probably also a decent fun racer, but in comparison to especially the Mario Karts at the time, which I don't remember which they would be, Mario Kart Wii and 7 or 8 probably. Like this one would be probably Mario Kart Wii contender, and let's be honest, Mario Kart Wii would have won. And that one, I think Mario Kart 8 probably, and let's be honest, Mario Kart 8 would have won. Oh, definitely won, period. And it's just, you know, Sonic and karts, and I get it for I get it for racing game, but that you can't just have Sonic running, because how do you drift? And then, you know, why wouldn't he just win everything by, you know? So it makes sense that he has to drive a vehicle of sorts, so that it's fair and makes sense, and that he can properly drift and accelerate and stuff. Makes sense that you have to nerf Sonic in that way, you know. But don't put him in a kart. I think the hoverboards were a perfect way to circumvent that, to make it not just Sonic kart, but actually make it cool and different, and give it the opportunity to have other gimmicks. But then they threw that out with the, you know, for one game only, sure, you know, if they want their own Sega kart racer, sure. But then, you know, and this one is definitely better than the first one. I played both of them, and I think Transformed is better, sure. But it's also generic in comparison to Mario Kart or the later games. Team Sonic Racing. Jeez, I don't know. Here. Sure. Actually here. Sure. Back to only cards. They have the gimmick with the teams. That's cool. In a way, maybe. And that not only your points count, but you always have a team of 3. And the points of your teammates also count towards the goal. If you do the single player, and say play Sonic and Tails and Knuckles are your teammates, if you get first, but Tails and Knuckles are somewhere like 10th and 9th place, and some enemy team has 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, they win, even though you're first. But you know, because the overall points, that's a thing that makes only sense for multiplayer. If you happen to have 6 friends or 5 friends, or at least 2 friends, so that you can actually be one whole team and put the blame on people. But in single player, I mean, usually I think they have the CPUs, your teammates be good enough, so that usually doesn't happen. But I think that happened to me also once or twice, that like I lost because my CPU teammates were not good enough. So then again, you also have some other gimmicks mechanics so that you can give your teammates items and stuff if they need them. But like for CPUs, that's also very difficult to like manage. You know, like, okay, does he need like a boost item now? Sure, I'll give it to him. Maybe that will help him. In multiplayer, you can at least tell your friend, hey, I have a boost item, do you need it? And he's like, yeah, sure, give it to me. I can use a shortcut in a second. And he's okay. It's a racing game that very much puts a focus on multiplayer. But there is a single player campaign. That's nothing too crazy. But there, at least there is something to do in single player. But in the one racing game that is very much primarily focused on very much playing it in multiplayer. But okay. And then you have Sonic Racing Crossworlds, which is probably the best Sonic Racing game, to be honest. Here. Honestly, it's an S tier racing game. Compared to like all the Sonic Racers, that one would be an S tier, but I wouldn't really put it into an S tier of Sonic games. Also because it's a very like crossover heavy video game. Holy shit, that Racing Crossworlds is so fucking good. Definitely a very heavy contender for Mario Kart of this generation, in my opinion. Plays super well, plays a lot more better than like Team Sonic Racing and stuff, in my opinion. Character roster is huge. The rival interactions are so charismatic. There's always a plus when the Sonic characters actually interact with each other. It's definitely a plus. But the crossword mechanic is so cool. You know, like no race is always the same because the second lap is always something different. Or the DLCs that are there. The gadgets, you know, you can build your own cards and stickers and a lot of single player content. No story mode, but like at least a bunch of other stuff to do with the rival races and then the rival team races and 8 Grand Prix. Sure, that's a standard thing in Mario Kart and stuff, but it's here also. You can do that, plus like mirror mode and the rival races and you know, a lot of stuff to do. And super fun, plays super well. Items are fun to use actually. I always thought that items in Team Sonic Racing and All-Stars Racing and stuff were a bit like generic and bland, and sure, they're also nothing too non-generic in this game, but like, I don't know, they're also a bit more fun to use here, in my opinion. And then we have the Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog, which is a pretty bad Sonic game, but as a spin-off that focuses on character interactions, it's a visual novel. I also put it very high because you know, it's a visual novel that was an April Fool's joke. A free video game that was just randomly released on April Fool's. It's a visual novel where the main thing is just to see all the characters interact with each other about who murdered Sonic, and then there's an actual plot. Like they're playing a murder mystery game, but then eventually it dwindles down so there's actually Eggman involved. Spoiler alert. And he actually has like a plan going on. It's like all intertwined and holy shit. And somebody actually tried to murder Sonic. In a way, I think. Wasn't that a thing? No, SPO was the culprit. Spoiler alert. And you know, but then like somebody actually tried to kill Sonic in the meantime, and there's an actual finale. And there's also like these mini games and stuff. And it's just really charming to see like the Chaotix again, because that was like the first time they really appeared in a very long time. They weren't forces, but like who cares about forces? That was cool, and it was just very charming. I always love seeing the characters interact, and that was like the game for that. Except that they don't have voice acting, I think. Or did they have voice acting? No, I don't think there was voice acting. Maybe there was. No, I don't think so. I don't think there was voice acting. That's like the biggest. If that would have been there as well, probably would have been like even higher. But for what it's worth, you know, Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog is a very fun. If you like the Sonic cast, that's like the game to play. You know, and yeah, that's just the franchise. Where would I rank the Sonic franchise in general? I don't know. I mean, here, sure, S tier. I love Sonic. Sonic, okay, Sonic 06. There's not a ranking for Project 06. Sonic 06 is indeed here. It sucks. Thank you. But I put it out because, yeah. Alright, that's my Sonic tier list. Holy shit. Oof. Like this. Yeah. Anything else I would like? Let's put Adventure in. I really like Adventure. Then you have Mania, Adventure 2, and Generations. Which actually I think I would put Generations above Adventure 2. Rush 2, Black Knight, Crossworlds, Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog, Frontiers, and then Riders games. Actually, let's put Unleashed in A tier. I think it very much deserves that. And probably above the Riders games. Come on, it's Sonic Unleashed. Come on. R, Triple Trouble, Advance 3, the first Sonic the Hedgehog game. We have 2, Labyrinth, Battle, The Fighter, Superstars, Chaos, Sonic CD, also Racing Transformed, Rabbits 2, Rabbits 1, Advanced, Pocket Adventure, Team Sonic Racing, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 for the Game Gear, Mean Bean Machine, Tails Adventure, Sonic Rush Adventure, Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing. In C tier we have Sonic Bosses, Shadow the Hedgehog, Sonic the Hedgehog 4 Episode 2, Sonic Advance 2, Sonic Drift, Sonic Spinball, Tails Sky Patrol, Sonic the Hedgehog 8-Bit, Sonic the Hedgehog 4 Episode 1, Sonic Pinball Party. In D tier we have Sonic Lost World, Sonic Boom Fire and Ice, Sonic and the Secret Rings, Sonic Heroes, Sonic 3D Blast, Knuckles Chaotix, Sonic Boom Rise of Lakes, and Sonic Boom Shadow Questel. And after Sonic Blast and Sonic Chronicles The Dark Brotherhood. I think I'm happy with that. That sounds about right. Yeah. I have played through every Sonic game. Sega, I need more. I need the next one. If you can like release a new Sonic game anytime soon, that'd be nice because my schedule is free. So yeah, I love this little blue fella, and I love this little robot fella. He's great. Yeah. Huh, what an adventure! What a hell of a ride! I love Sonic. I have not been this big of a Sonic fan before. Like October 2024 when I started this marathon with Sonic Adventure 2 as a hype up to Shadow Generations, and then I just kind of started playing through like a bunch of mainline games that I hadn't played through, and then Shadow Generations, and I thought, okay, might as well continue and just play through everything else, and now here we are. Man, it's a great franchise. I love this franchise. It's a lot better on average than people say. Let's put it like that. I think B tier is still solid. Obviously, if you compare it to like other games, you can also like say, okay, Sonic Chaos might not be B tier in comparison to B tier Mario games, but you know. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and until next time, bye bye.